Linda Salvin to our show. I'm very happy to have you here with me. We got a brief conversation in last time where we got to acquaint and get to know each other a little bit. The plane was flying over, which I know is historical for you, and you can tell everyone about it in a sec. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Listen.
Oh, there it is.
It just hit. I just got chills. It's been quiet for 2 hours. Can you hear it? Is it on or is it God? Go on.
It's got to be God. Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Just a little bit about your past before we move on to all the amazing things you've accomplished in your life.
Okay, the reason we're talking about a plane overhead to all your viewers is in 1981, I was on company business as an environmental health specialist for an insurance company, and I had my first premonition. I live in Los Angeles. I left Southern California in Orange County with my partner who worked at the insurance company. We flew to Northern California to do some work at a hospital, San Jose Hospital. The doctors and nurses and attendants were told not to touch the autoclave because it would invalidate our sampling. But of course somebody did. And so we packed up and went back to the airport. And while we were sitting in the lounge, I'm facing this way. My partners, if you and I are like looking at each other, and over here, the plane is sitting in the hangar, like ready to board. And I said, doesn't it look like it could crack there? Because I saw a fuelage or an exhaust settlement line just beyond the wing of the plane. Well, an hour and a half later, when we crash landed, that's where the plane cracked in half.
Oh my God.
The plane cracked in half, the engine fell off and the landing gear was stripped. Two planes cannot statistically be on the same runway at the same time, taking off and coming in, and everybody survived when we did. It was called the Miracle Flight. But what happened to me is coming down the ramp, I had an out-of-body experience, but it lasted 4 months. And back in 1981, there was no internet. There was no internet. So there was no one to talk to and, network with, and everything.
I've interviewed so many people about their near-death experiences. I've never had someone say to me it lasted 4 months.
Well, that wasn't, no, out of body, not near death. It's different. People think it's all the same. It's not. When I was out of my body, it was the first of 3 near-death experiences. I was in the plane crash in 81, right? But I stand 5'8", but my body was 50 feet out, like a cyclops, for 4 months. And I became very, very psychic. I know a lot of psychics. Everybody thinks they're psychic. They all think
this. You were a scientist before that, weren't you?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, my background's epidemiology, the big word today.
Yeah.
And so I have a master's in public health epidemiology. I was in a plane crash, got hit by a fire truck a year later, and had another out-of-body experience. And in '84, I totaled a car on a rainy night here in LA, and as God is my witness, you may get chills, but the white light went from my head to the ceiling of the car into the heavens, and a loud voice said, you can come with us now or stay. And I was given a message just like I was given coming down the ramp 3 years later. And I still can't repeat that message. But when the paramedics came to get me out of the car, I just said, they want me off the planet. So that was 1984, but it wasn't until 1991 I had emergency surgery, became a healer in 92. I was in Psychic Friends Network, and then I was on TV in 93, got my first radio show in 1994. I was the original radio psychic in the United States. Started here on K-Big 104 FM, and everybody took the format and it grew, and now we're all over the internet. You mean what happened then was a pioneering thing. So I was on the air twice a week in local FM in LA. And when that ended, the producer, the creative director suggested I start my own show. I knew nothing about broadcasting, and I got on an AM station, and I was on cable. I ended up in 400 markets back in from 1995 to 2009. I ended up on KLSX 97.1, which was CBS, for 5 or 6 years. But when CBS flipped to music in 2009, it was the same day that YouTube was taking off. So they were just closing out terrestrial radio, coming into the internet rage. So I was right at that point. And I've been on internet. I have my own station. I'm relaunching a podcast, all that stuff. But I didn't stay with it, you know. Just as I lost the job at CBS, my mom died 3 weeks later, and 4 months later, I took my TV infomercial off the air because I couldn't handle everything. I'd hired Kris Jenner, paid her $25,000 to host my TV infomercial on my Candle Magic line. And then that went its way. She got Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And here I am, how many years later, I'm still doing it, but it was a bumpy road getting here.
I'm sure. And it's because you believe in it, because you have faith in what you're doing. And
well, it's more than that.
The experiences you've had have been.
It led me, it chose me. I couldn't run. I ran for 12 years. So it's not a belief. It took over me. It's like I was initiated. I was chosen. I didn't ask for it.
Right.
If I would suggest this to a friend, or if they didn't know what to do, I would never put them in this world. Discuss the attacks, the curses, the paranormal can be very, very rude, as well as beautiful, inquisitive, fascinating. I quit channeling dead people after 22 years. My face changed, my body changed, the drain. I can hear people from the other side, but I choose not to work professionally as a medium anymore because of what I saw, felt, what it did to me.
Oh,
I got that after 100 tumors were removed from my hips and thighs. None of it just came to me. It was all through trauma.
Wow. So let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to that original experience you had.
The plane crash?
In the plane crash. Yeah, tell me a little bit about that after the fact. How did you feel? What happened after that?
I was in the second row, in between two men. On the right, on the left was my partner from work, and on the right was a stranger. And as we were starting to crash, you could hear the going over. So anyway, first we hit the ground, went back up, like planes bounce, but we kept going up, and then we crashed, and then we were all over. I watched the pavement, then we're on the grass. I just grabbed both arms of both men, said, oh my God, we're gonna die. Because you could hear the throttle not really pulling, doing its weight, but the noise was horrendous. And then we just came to a stop with all the noise, and the seats came out, and the overhead compartments were empty. It was horrible. And then when we crashed, we stopped. The stewardess, which isn't supposed to panic, came running down the aisle and said, everybody off before it blows. We had 90 seconds to get off before asphyxiation.
Oh my God.
My partner at the time helped kick open the door, which was stuck because of the pressure.
Right.
And then the pilot came out and I got to the door, and I said, where are the stairs? I was so dazed. So the stewardess touched my back and pushed me down the slide.
Yeah.
But through that, I had this whoosh whoosh sound and I had the out of body experience. At that moment, within seconds of going down that slide, something spoke to me. And
do you believe your outer body experience was there to basically assist you, to calm you, or was it there?
No, it changed me, changed my direction, changed my life. It was not just, no. It wasn't trauma. Yes, it was PTSD.
Yes.
Much more than that. I became very psychic. No, big difference. PTSD, I couldn't sleep and get up, didn't want to leave the house, agoraphobia, anxieties. I still have PTSD. I startle quickly if something drops. People don't understand why because that's PTSD. Right. The out of body was literally my soul. I became what's known as a walk-in, and I didn't know what that meant until I went to a psychic, where a friend said, go see the psychic and maybe she'll help you. I walked in, her back was to me. I was referred to this woman. She goes, oh, you're a walk-in. I said, what's a walk-in? This is 1981. I don't know these terms.
Right.
She said, it's when you're close to death.
Her back was to you when she said this to you, knowing
she knew everything.
She knew right away when you walked in.
She goes, well, whoever, I said, what's a walk-in? She said, when you're close to death, a new soul takes over. I said, I was just in a plane crash. So she gave me Ruth Montgomerys book, Strangers Among Us, read it. And that was like my little Bible. I had no idea. I was so fragmented and scared. Nobody talked about this stuff. I was out of Michigan, University of Michigan, with a science degree, and here I was hearing spirits and voices. But every time I'd hear something and I'd show up or take the direction, amazing things would happen, scary things. But I came very, very psychic, and I couldn't explain to people. I hear voices. No, everybody thought it was nuts, but I was becoming very, very psychic. And as it was starting to calm down, the fire truck hit me and took me another level. So that calmed down. I got in the white light, totaled the car, and I just kept ascending to these other levels. That was in the 80s. This is now 2021. It's
Right.
several decades, 40
Right.
years, 4 decades. I went through this when nobody was opening up. I had a couple of people to kind of mentor. I still to this day wish I knew a psychic as accurate as me. I'm not being egotistic. It's just I'm
Right.
very connected. Like, the
Right.
bumper cars at the pier. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I've got a connection with the other side. They just kind of take me around. It was a horrible, horrible, horribly painful, scary transition, transformation, adaptation, new words, but I never studied until finally, after radio of many years, I created a candle magic line. I got trained in Santeria and I combined it with Kabbalah, and I help people all the time. I had a rabbi, a Hasidic rabbi, who approved everything. He's deceased now. But I decided to get my PhD in metaphysics to merge the science with the woo-woo, which is still scientific.
Did it help you? Did that help you?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm Dr. Linda since 08. Absolutely. I'm in different medical associations. I'm board certified. I'm on TV and radio. Of course, it's more credentialed.
I mean the PhD. Did that help you
Yes.
understand your experience
No.
better? No.
No. It just qualified what I had been learning
Exactly.
to give me. I did the dissertation even on candle magic. At first they fought me, and then they understood why I was doing the science and the magic and the religion and how it all comes together.
Yeah.
Then they approved the dissertation. So, I mean, it was very different than just out of body, near death, reincarnation, because metaphysics is really from Dr. Carl Jung, who studied with Freud, who coined the term synchronicity when he watched the dolphins. Yeah.
Right.
So it's all about the, it's metaphysics is really psychology meeting spirituality and blending as a philosophy.
Absolutely. Science and spirituality.
Yep.
Talking to each other really, or trying to understand each other, I would say, even on some level.
It helps define it, but I think coming from such a scientific epidemiology, biostatistic, hardcore, I could have been a doctor. A lot of my friends did go on to med school. A lot of my friends are MDs, chiropractors. I mean, I'm associated with a lot of professional people, as well as the alternative and integrative side, but very few got what I was doing until it's like life is catching up. I was ahead of it, sort of, as you've been ahead of the movement. Now they're catching up.
Right. And so I wanted to ask you then, when you were in the office with the lady that told you what a walk-in was.
Yeah, Shirley.
Shirley. Okay. So after that point, like, there must have been points in your life that, things started to get better and better, and you started
landmarks. Absolutely. There were milestones.
Yeah.
Like, okay, the plane crash was February 17th, 1981. By that fall, I was still on disability because of the trauma, and they wanted me to fly. It was part of my job. I would not get back on a plane.
Right.
I was not ready to fly, so they fired me. But they called it corporate reorganization. So then I was left without a job, which freaked me out because I didn't know what to do.
Right.
I was 28 years old, and it was like I had no direction. I knew I was hearing voices and doing things, but I didn't know what to do with myself. There was nobody guiding me. Right. So I just had little jobs, and then somewhere along the line, someone said, "You're so psychic." Well, that girl Shirley, the woman, I didn't know she's alive, but she said, "Whatever entered you is psychic." I said, "What? I'm not a psychic." Well, yeah, I am. She goes, "Whatever entered," because I did not have psychic abilities. And don't confuse it with intuition. We says, "Oh, I'm a psychic. I'm really intuitive." There is no comparison to being intuitive and psychic. I also heal people from a level that doctors send me their patients to do what they sometimes cannot curatively. Okay. And then the channeling, of course, is the communication with the dead, but I don't want to give comfort and closure anymore. I've quoted suicide notes. I've been given spaghetti recipes. I have hundreds of testimonies that maybe will be published someday.
Those things are absolutely even known from your website, and going to it, and you can extrapolate that information. what I want to do is talk more about your experience more than what you're
Fear,
doing
the
now.
anxiety, the disbelief, the it's like the way it started to really happen spiritually, I think is what you're asking. How did I go from science to God? Okay.
Yeah.
From psychic to spiritual. How did that bridge happen? After the plane crash, I stayed at my parents' house, and they had gone to Europe. And one night, this gold cross flew out of the closet and hit me on the forehead. And I thought, oh my God, I'm a Jew for Jesus. I didn't know what that was. So I threw the covers over my head. And I thought, no, what? Because weird things were happening.
Right.
So I said, okay, whatever. And then once I got to Thailand, I saw the Buddhists, and I understand the Hindus and the Jews, and all of a sudden, metaphysics just is one. So one day, in between wherever I was in 81 to 83, I was starting to say, I'll go back to school. I'll go back to work. I applied to UCLA, got rejected. I got in a car accident on my way to a job interview in public health. It all started to make sense. But what happened was every time I tried to go the way I thought or look around, whether it was the movie industry, music, public health, something would block.
Something would pull you back to what it wanted you.
And I kept fighting it. And I finally said, I know we can swear on YouTube, but I'm not going to. I just said, what the hell do you want me to do? I didn't know. So I surrendered to whatever this thing out there called life, God, whatever. I didn't know the God. I just knew that there was something more than us.
Right.
And everything started to open up. When I stopped trying to figure it out, let go, let God, a day at a time, each day unfolds, people, places, things put in my path, as opposed to me manipulating, calling, showing up, pushing doors. Things changed. Next thing I knew,
so when you let go, it all fell into place.
I still take control. Don't get me wrong. Okay.
Of course.
The interesting experience I think I can share is back then, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, was a separate entity. It's that out there versus me. And I was trying to piece my place with it.
Right.
I'm now 67 years old, 40 years later.
That's
a lot of life, a lot of pain, a lot of ups and downs in relationships, a couple of proposals. I wonder if I made the right decision, jobs, whatever.
So you were still able to
I'm integrated. I'm not fragmented anymore. That's the difference that I help people. Most people are fragmented. I learned to integrate the mind, body, spirit. I saw the mental, physical, spiritual, emotional differences in us during the total of the cards. Like they came down and put a pie cutter on my head and they showed me things. I have been initiated in a way that I've never heard anybody's story. I've heard near death. We all have a different experience. I'm not saying mine's better or different. I'm just.
They're all very unique experiences out there. Absolutely. And I believe everyone's experience, whether in life or in near death, is unique because their experiences are unique and their path is unique and their circumstances unique.
But we're here to help, and we're here to teach, or we're here to enlighten, or we're here to give help, hope, support, faith. I had to develop all that in between the who am I, what am I can't relate to my family, I don't know have a career, all that vacuum. And then it started to fill up with spirit and God and trust and faith. That fear and the panic and the loneliness and the craziness started to change, but so did all the people I knew. My world changed. You know, the people from the past are the past. You go through chapters, but as I ascend, I also let go. Even now, we still go through like a shedding of people, places, things to keep growing for wherever we're going next.
Right.
Scary, lonely, frightening. Jeff Porcaro from Toto, when he died in 1992, he channeled them, and he still does. Went to my high school. Okay, so I mean, I have hundreds of pages of him coming through the Ouija board. I know his sister-in-law, I know a lot of his friends, but for a long time I kept it a secret with only certain people that knew of that gift. I don't have to hide it anymore, but I've learned so much about who our guardian angels are, and the ancestors, or how spirit communicates, or whatever. It's all there. You and I don't, well, you might, but the average person is in 3 dimensions.
Right.
We hear, feel, go beyond what we can't see.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can, when we get chills, it's spirit confirming truth.
Right.
We get the goosebumps.
Absolutely.
Another
And
plane saying it's right.
it's what's fascinating is that those things are consistent, like the chills, for example, the goosebumps, they're consistent. Everyone experiences the same thing. But there's so many things that are varied. Like I'll talk to different psychics and mediums and healers, and there's I won't call it inconsistency, because in their own right it's true, and in their own right it's real, and in their own right it's absolutely working and effective. But there is differences going from healers, psychics, and mediums in their
and a lot of people think it's all one and the same, and it is not.
and it isn't.
People say, I'd like to have a medium reading. I said, I'm not a medium anymore. I don't work that way. Well, I thought you're a psychic. I said, I am a psychic. Well, what's the difference? So I got to explain the predictions, the healing, the wholeness versus channeling, the communication and spirits. Right. Everybody just thinks like, oh, I'm really intuitive. Yeah, but you're not a psychic.
I would love for you to define those things for people then.
Right.
If you don't mind. Because
sure. Let me briefly.
Because you've been a psychic for a long
40
time.
years.
Saying. And you've had a ton of unique experiences that no one else has had.
And I used to say on the radio, if I was listening to somebody tell this story, I wouldn't believe it either, but I've lived it. So I can tell you it's real, just like the flames. Now it's quiet. Briefly.
Yes.
A psychic, I hate, it took me years, Shiraz, to even accept the word. There's so much BS around it, because you think of the gypsy on the boulevard with candles, a turban, and a magic ball.
Right.
As opposed to
that's the
clairvoyant
everyone gets, right? But that's
the gypsy. A clairvoyant, there's clairvoyance, clairaudient, clairsentient, when you're feeling. So the clairvoyant is where you get pictures.
Yeah.
I will see like a movie of somebody's life, or I'll get images of the color they're going to redecorate their apartment in, I don't know, or the car they're getting, or I get images. Clairaudient.
Is that instantly on contact?
Yeah. I read voices. I pick up the phone and I'm off. People say you just answered all my questions. I said, I know. I mean, I'm very, very acute. I'm razor sharp. I make people cry because I make them angry because I'm so into the truth. I'll cut people up. If I don't like them, my spirit buys into their negativity and it's done. Or I become best friends with somebody because they've got such a pure spiritual love for people, places, things, and animals. So it's like anybody else, the yin and yang. We all feel it, but we don't always trust it.
Right.
Clairaudient is hearing a voice, hearing the angels, or hearing a whisper. Sometimes I'll hear whispers or guidance. And when it first started, I mean, I would literally I thought it was nuts, but it'd be like little whispers in the ear, and then little rainbows around the eye would come up, but it was all part of the initiation into the spiritual world. Clairsentience is where I feel things. My gift seems to be on timing. If somebody says, well, when do you think he's going to call? And when am I going to buy the house? I would say 85-90% of the time I can pinpoint a time frame where most people, even James Van Praagh in his books Talking to Heaven, will say you cannot predict time. I predict time. We all have a different gift.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty good.
And I believe after I actually did go to your website and read the articles and read your bio, because it was encouraged. And normally I do that because I want to go in blind, because I want to be able to feel the person I'm speaking to. And I read some of the testimonials and the rabbi and the message he left you. And yes, it's very, very extensive. Not that I didn't know a little bit about your background before. I did, because, well, you're Linda Salvin.
Yeah, of course. But you didn't know the depth. And I understand that.
I didn't know the depth, and I didn't want to go in knowing the depth, because I wanted to feel you and I wanted to experience you heart to heart, right? But I did, and when I did, what I realized was that, And I've talked to a lot of psychics and healers and mediums over the years, over the last 10 years. I go into my story, but we won't do that.
That's fine. I'd love to hear it.
and
Because
what
you're into this on the other side too. I mean, you're broadcasting where I left off, you picked up, you know, I mean, there was people before you and there's people after us.
Absolutely. And there's certain psychics, and I hate to say it, but it's like I'm talking to somebody who doesn't even,
They have no clue. They think they're a psychic.
Yeah.
They're the frauds. They're the charlatans. They're the ones that give the
Right.
true people the bad name. That's
Right.
where the media is blown up, or sensationalism. You know, they're gonna channel Princess Di and John Lennon or Jesus. I'm like, it doesn't work that way. It
Right.
doesn't. And I know Lisa Williams. I've met her. She's brilliant. I don't do the group, but I have, where one person will come in and I at the Beverly Hills Hotel years ago, there were girls sitting in the audience. They literally saw like a gold halo, and I didn't know what they were talking about. But I guess when I leave, this gold protection comes through. But I find one person at a time. I don't say, okay, there's someone with a red car who was in an accident in the mountains. I don't do that. To find the one or two that relate. If you give me Susie's name, or if Yoko came to me and said, I want John, then I can tune in, but not without an invitation. I do not go there.
Right. And so would you say an invitation is pertinent to a reading?
For me, in my way, not for a channel, reading is different. Reading's your money, moving, travel, love, communication. The channeling, where I'm the medium talking to the deceased, relative, loved one, friend, whatever. When I would book an appointment, and these are all in my testimonies that have yet to be published.
Yeah.
One time I had this horrible headache, and I didn't want to do the work that afternoon. And when my client called her, said, you know, I'm really sorry, I've got this horrible headache. She goes, oh, my friend had a brain aneurysm when he died. Or another one, I didn't sleep for 2 days. I said, I'm tired, I haven't slept. She goes, oh, my husband had sleep apnea. Or I would be throwing up. Oh, my friend had stomach cancer. I pick up the symptoms, and I can't do that anymore. I really get deep. I had a woman call my show one night, and she just said, why?
Happened to me. It's happened to me.
Why'd she die? Why'd he die? I said he committed suicide. And I ended up dictating the child's suicide note about him committing suicide because his best friend took over his girlfriend, and he died out of love. I said this, and I have the photograph she sent me to put in my book. I have permission. Because when I said something about a basketball, a donkey, and overall, she didn't know what I was talking about. 3 weeks later, she called back, found a picture of his second birthday where he was wearing overalls. Someone had given him a basketball, and there was Dumbo the flying elephant.
Wow.
I get that descriptive. I don't know people that are that descriptive. I have documents and documents. I just haven't published it. But it's there. But the real connection.
There are many people who have documents and documents that haven't published, and they're dormant, like nobody knows about them. That's why I tend to want to interview anybody, like anyone who has a story, I'll interview them, because there's people out there who aren't famous and are having like crazy, amazing experiences that
a lot of people think, yeah, you're nuts, or you're breaking down, or you're schizophrenic, or you're having a psychotic episode. And the truth is, no. Here's something you might be able to help with your listeners.
Yes.
In 1991, when I said I had emergency surgery, okay, so the 80s were the accidents. 91, I had an emergency hysterectomy. It was either get the hysterectomy or die. That was what the doctors said. I had 2 months because I was hemorrhaging. So I had the hysterectomy, but then all this energy came out of my hands and started healing people. I healed a schizophrenic, a girl that had 26 multiple personalities, put her back into one. She called me from the store, said, oh my God, there's only one voice. I didn't even know she had 20 of them, 26. Long story short, her mother flew into Los Angeles from Scottsdale, Arizona to thank me. This girl had been brought up and was witness to severe ritualistic behavior as a child, so she split. And she says, why don't you do this with all the psych wards? Because she worked in a psych ward, this mother. I said, because the doctors would never understand it. Personally, I believe half the medical, psychiatric, mental issues, besides bipolar, which is biochemical, but there's a lot out there that there's a spiritual solution.
Right.
You know, if it works spiritually, because we're mental, physical, spiritual, emotional beings. But what most people don't address is the spirit. The definition of health by the Health Education and Welfare Department, which was drilled in my brain in undergrad. Health is the definition of mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. So when I was going through all this during the plane crash and the fire, all of it started, like school came, well, what am I supposed to do? And somehow there would be an integration of why I went to school, but what am I supposed to do with it? Now I'm becoming spiritual. So I went on my God search. I became super spiritual. The trick of becoming spiritual, as I've learned, and you probably know, you have to learn to live a physical life, pay your bills. You can have your God, your spirituality, your connection, your other worldly. You got to learn to balance. You can't just
absolutely
float. Like one day, when I was learning about it in 1982, I think my dad called. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm becoming spiritual." He said, "Go sit on a mountain in Tibet." But he was right. You don't just become. It's a lifelong daily thing. People, I'm just going to try this for a while. I'm done. No, you're not done. Once you open that door, you can't go back.
No, that's right. You have to continue the journey.
That's the healing of it.
So you get the messages, and
that's
and
what
if
God
you don't,
really wants.
then you get a 4x.
Yeah, because the more you fight the flow or the God or the spirit or whatever's right, you're going to get your obstacles. You're going to get banged over the head. You're going to get in accidents. You're going to lose the love life. You're going to maybe have the fame and fortune or the money, and then you don't. I mean, it's you'll know when you're up against the wrong versus the right. For example, and I will tell you this right now, today, can I quote the date or should I leave the date out? Because today's May 17th. Today's May 17th, 2021. 43 years ago, when I was at the University of Michigan, there was a guy I knew, I'm not going to mention his name, but he lives in a different state back east. And I called to wish him a happy birthday because last year we all got back in touch from the class. And
amazing.
I know it was his birthday. And he said to me, because you're so busy, do you have room in your life to marry me?
Aww.
So I remember being infatuated in school. He came out to LA in 1978, but my roommate was always in love with him. She's been married for 35 years, has 2 kids in PhD programs. Everybody's gone on. But he and I've always had something, and I sat back. I thought it really didn't work the first time. Would it work now? I'm trying to think, well, he's really successful. He did this, he did that. But the feeling, I don't know that we would connect. He would never get me. He's so left brain. If he were to really understand where I am today versus epidemiology, it wouldn't work. Soulmates, that's a good topic. The soulmates, he may be a soulmate of mine, but he's not my twin. And people need to understand there's companion soulmates, karmic soulmates, and the twins. No, it's my soulmate. No, it might not be the soulmate, but it's one-to-one.
So how does one distinct between the 3 different categories then?
And that's a good question. I'll explain that to you, just like the clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient abilities. Gosh, some of the best authors on soulmates. One, Jess Stern from the 70s wrote Soulmates, which is probably the most brilliant book of its kind ever. And then the other was from Dr. Maury Pressman from the University of Pennsylvania, who's head of psychiatry. I used to have him on my show all the time. His book is called Twin Souls. And he beautifully explained it, just like Brian Weiss. But a companion soulmate would be your best friend. You look alike. You think it's the best relationship, but if you were to really get together, it would blow it up. I have a person in my life, I've known him since 10th grade. We're both Capricorns. We both have our own little attractiveness and our quirks and everything. But if we were to be together, forget it. It wouldn't work. He's married, lives in Canada. We are still friends today. Usually the karmic relationships, you have mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional. So you got 2 out of the 4 that usually come together in a karmic relationship, and people try to make it work, or they come together for the children to be born because the souls of the kids choose the parents for the lessons in life. I chose mine, you chose yours. A lot of the divorces come because the lessons have been learned in their relationship, and then they all split. a true soulmate will never have an affair. So when people call me
Right.
cheated, will I ever get over it? I said, it's not really your soulmate because I'm getting all that. The
Right.
twin is the other half of you. I mean, it mirrors you, whether it's anger, grief, beauty, creativity, sports, whatever the interest might be.
Right.
Within your own individual, one can be an avid athlete and the other is, I just want to watch Netflix, but in the middle they meet.
Right.
Right.
Right. I
But
got it.
there's a
Yeah.
soul connection that when you're with your true soulmate, and you know this, you can be 100,000 miles away and it's still in you. You cannot cut that feeling. It's different from obsessiveness because
Right.
people get codependent, emotionally dependent. But when you break it all down and that's still there, that's when you know you've got something else to really work through. And the true soulmates, as you know, are the most difficult relationships to bring together as one. But they
Together.
usually do, because you can't run unless one is so fearful, which I have done. It was right in
Right.
my face for marriage, Hollywood production. I had everything, and I rejected him. And I wrote him a letter last year
Wow.
apologizing why I rejected
Wow.
him. My friend said, "Yeah, did you ever tell him the truth?" I said, no, because this guy probably thought I rejected him because I didn't love him. The truth was I was so afraid and intimidated.
And
I didn't know.
communication is really whether
But you're
whether you
breaking up.
believe there are soulmates. I said, well, communication is really important, correct? Like whether you're
It's all
considered
about
whether it's a soulmate or a twin or whatever, he is
in any
communication.
relationship. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I gave him a letter to tell the truth in case I said it probably ruined both our paths because he's had 2 marriages since then.
Right.
But I got
And-
my side
and
of the
you-
street clean.
And you have foresight to be able to come to the table with more insight for him too.
Yeah. That one's not coming back. The one I talked to today, I keep thinking it's like, doesn't feel right now.
Right. Yeah.
I may take a trip, go visit. It
Go
was just-
visit, hang
yeah,
out, just
yeah,
just
I might.
to
I
have
mean,
the
we talk all the
experience.
time. We talk all the time, but I don't know if I want to
Yeah.
open that door. But this just happened like 2 hours ago. 2 hours ago. I'm like, okay. So you just never
Wonder if it has
know.
something- wonder if it has something to do with the doll I put under my pillow last night. It's a love doll. We're talking about love and relationships.
Well, I told in prayer, I said, I want to get married. Okay, so here's another proposal. It's the 8th time from an 8th guy. I've heard this, but it doesn't always feel right. It's not like I've never been proposed to, maybe
Right.
9, but I put it out there. I really want to get married. So here comes one. Well, maybe I don't want him. So I need to rephrase my prayer. Okay, I want to marry blah, blah. In this situation, you got to be focused. Otherwise, yeah, you can bring him in.
There's another
But-
topic, right? Focus is important. If you're not focusing your
Well, it's not
intention.
just that. I do candle magic. So I can manipulate I've got people married, I got people getting jobs, I've had people at the White House, I've had people in the homelessness getting Academy Awards, I've had people make money when they couldn't make money, I've had people sell property during the worst part of a market. It's real candle magic. I was trained in Santeria and I combined it with Kabbalah. So I have my own line. I took away the occult. So people who come to me with their soulmate wishes, it's like, well, don't just say any guy. I want you to get specific, and I give them information. My candles, there's petitions of writing that go in the flame with certain herbs and oils and powders. It's all different formulas. Like baking is different. If you're making lasagna versus chocolate chip cookies, are different recipes. But with this, there's a specific order of things. And in Kabbalah, the candle represents the soul of man, and the wick, when lit, the flame is light, which is God.
Right.
So we're feeding God things. So mine are very, very different. You can have 100 candle magic lines out there, but mine are different. You'll see real results. Well, that's what you saw on the
Wow.
website. You saw it.
Wow, that's so fascinating. We should have your candles on our website.
Sure. I'll send you a set so you can experience it.
Yeah, yeah. I'll send you.
But
I'll
it's
send
harder
the
right
link
now because of COVID.
add
I
the
can't
products
ship to
and stuff,
Canada
and we
right
can
now.
do all. So I want to go to healing now. We talked about the psychic ability. We talked a little bit about mediumship and channeling. We talked a little bit about relationships. But let's go to healing now. From Reiki to psychic healing. I believe you've done all of it, right?
Yeah, I don't believe in Reiki. That's me. Me.
Right.
I've been to
Okay.
Reiki practitioners. After my hysterectomy in March of 1991, and that girl with 26 MPTs, multiple personality disorder, came to me, and I took her hands, I took it all out of her, put it back into me. I healed people holding hands, much like the movie that came out with Ellen Burstyn back in the 80s, where she's in a car accident and becomes a healer. I can't think of the name right offhand. But for many years, I would take all the energy and just go like this on my legs. And then I had all these tumors removed. And one day I saw the stitches and scars on my thighs. I thought, that's what it is. I saw the imprint of my hands on both thighs, where all the stitches had been, all the scars. And I knew I was taking energy from people, putting it back in my body. Ended up having 3 surgeries to remove 100 tumors from
Wow.
1996, 97, and 99. The 96, the first surgery is when I became a medium, like a week later. It just opened
Wow.
me. The healing I do.
Yeah.
I have many practitioners, but there's one chiropractor in particular who's in California, in 2 locations, Northern and Southern California, who heard me on the radio in 2006. We connected. He sends me his patients. He'll work with them physically and do all the body work and muscle testing and herbology or whatever. I take it to the next level. When I heal somebody, I'm not in person. It's on the phone. I don't want to see people's faces. I don't want expressions. Like I just did a healing on one of his patients last Friday. And she's near the San Diego area. And she's got a lot of symbiotic stuff from her family, but it's causing a lot of disease in her. So the way I heal, people are laying down and through breathing, color, and words. I have a technique where I literally get into the bones, the cells, the organs like the pancreas, the breast, the heart, the lungs, the sternum, the knees, the ear, the eye, I could say like the diaphragm, wherever the energy is, I get it out. And then in 7 days, there's this whole renewal. And there's a healing that takes place in 7 days that some people can't do in 3 years with doctors. So it's not just energy work.
Right.
Just like in my channeling, when I got sick from the symptoms of throwing up with stomach cancer, I take the disease
and you transmute it.
And I get it. I got to get it out of me. But the doctor who sends me his patients, he heals me, I heal him. We work on each other to remove stuff because he's had near-death experiences. You may want him on the show. But
sure, I'd love to.
He's real shy about that. But I'm just saying, he gets me and I get him, because when you've had a near-death experience, it's still yet another frequency than the average practitioner that's here or here. Then there's this. And I don't want to be egotistical because ego's edging God out. It's all about God. But I know enough people. The healing is deep. It can be painful for 5 minutes emotionally, where I may hit a nerve and somebody cries from a memory. But is there grief? Sometimes. Is there pain? No. It's comforting, kind of like a meditative process, but over a 7-day period. Takes 7 days. There's a little bumpiness of the emotions. Overwhelm. Oh my God, what did I do? I hate her. Oh my God, thank you. Can I have another one? You know, it's the shift, but all in 7 days. It was given to me. I don't know. Psychic was given to me. Healing was given to me. Channeling was given to me. I didn't study or train. You don't go to school. There are people who teach.
Like, for example, I can give you an example with me. What happened was I went to coffee with a friend and he was telling me a story about how he burned his back in an accident. And in that coffee, I started thinking about, well, I wonder how that felt. I wonder how that was for him, right? So over a period of a week, I had all these different experiences from dreams. I was burning in flames in a dream, for example. And I thought, like, what's going on? Like, is God sending me to hell? Like, what's going on, right? I had all these experiences to do with heat and burning. And then I have this experience where I'm in my apartment, and I'm about to hurt myself. There's a corner edge there, and I go to fall, and I feel this hand come right between the
Your initiation.
edge of the corner and my head, move my head away and move it out of the way, right? And so I'm like, why am I having all these strange feelings and experiences? And all of a sudden I remember that meeting I had with this gentleman who he's telling me about his experience, and I asked to feel what he experienced. And so God is now showing me how to,
Here it is.
right?
Yep.
And then as I'm having this thought, all of a sudden my hands start heating up. And like, I'm like, what's going on, right?
He transferred his experience like I did with the dead people. I threw up, I had headaches, same thing. You inhale, you inherit, you become it. Be careful what you ask for.
Absolutely. I learned that.
Right?
It's very organic. It's not like, I don't believe it's something you can learn from reading a book. It has to happen to you.
And not everybody gets that intense knock on the head or visual. Not everybody has it. I used to be in touch with a prophetess. I'm sure she's deceased now. Her name was Alice Rusin out of New York. She was in her 90s back in the 90s. I'm sure she's gone. But she would channel from, she called herself a prophetess. I have no idea where she came up with some of the stuff that she would communicate, but it came from another world. She was not of this world, but she would say, out of all the psychics on the planet, maybe, like 500,000, all these people are showing up as a psychic. She said, maybe 1% are really truly psychic. And she's right, because like you were talking, there's a lot of charlatans. You got to be careful. Everybody's in Sedona. Everybody's on the boulevard. Now everybody's on TikTok giving tarot readings, and people are coming to me asking if it's right because everybody's saying the same thing. I said, you got to just be careful.
Amazing. Like, you've had so many experiences with so much depth and so much richness because of your life experience and because of the length of time that's gone by, there's so much there. And you're probably having experiences daily that should be documented, let alone in your life.
You're right. Can I recite a poem that I've put on the air for 20 years? I tell everybody on every show.
Absolutely.
Because what keeps me going with all of this, especially when you're trying to find God, and it's not about religion, because religion and spirituality are not the same. Religion's man-made.
Talk about that before you tell your poem. Tell people about the distinction you found in your life between religion and spirituality.
Okay, I'm Jewish. I was brought up as Jewish. My grandparents, or my mother's family, my grandmother's family were all killed in Auschwitz. 11 brothers and sisters, the grandparents. So I always heard about the war because I was born in 54 and the war ended in 45. But my grandmother had left Poland in the late 20s and got here. It turned out my grandfather and my grandmother were first cousins. So my grandfather, Leo, loved Belle. They went back to Warsaw, Rodham. He went to get her, and then shortly thereafter, the rest of the family was taken to camps. The war broke out. So, and I found out that my grandfather's grandfather, my great-grandfather in Cleveland, Ohio, was a very famous rabbi. So I may have inherited some of the religious, spiritual input. I didn't have a passion for any of this as a kid. I mean, yeah, you read the horoscope in the newspaper.
You agree, though, that you inherit some kind of past from whoever your previous generation.
I think it's reincarnated more than inherited. I'm not sure. I think genealogy has a lot to do with it. And yes, from the genes, relatives, ancestors, I believe there's a big part of it. I mean, we all look like somebody in the family. Yes. Right. Did I inherit psychic abilities from a rabbi, grandfather? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
That's
either.
Real big. That's different. The interests, my mom, I can remember in the 50s, she'd say, get on your hands and knees and thank God for your day. And we did our little prayers. But
Right.
my dad is as agnostic as they come. Didn't want us bat mitzvah. One day I said, "What's God?" He goes, "See that tree? You want that tree to be your God?" That was God. Okay, so I didn't really get a spiritual fit, except
Right.
there's a tree or a doorknob. And then one day, somebody gave me up this poem, and it's on my website, or it should be, and it's in my infomercial on Wicks of Wisdom, and it's in the book. I'm gonna not quote the poem verbatim, but it's something like this. It says, "God, are you real?" The child whispered, "God, speak to me." And a meadowlark sang, but the child did not hear. So the child said, "God, speak to me." And a star shone brightly, but the child did not see. So the child said, "God, speak to me." And the thunder rolled across the sky, but the child did not listen. So the child said, "Show me a miracle." And a child was born, but the child did not know. So the child said, "Touch me, God, show me you're real." Whereupon God reached down and touched the child, but the child brushed the butterfly away and walked away unknowingly. Right? Sanskrit.
Right.
Sanskrit. I did all the research. So I have taught people for 30 years that God is as simple as a butterfly. So when we want confirmation, is it
Right.
is it God? Like at the beginning with the planes, we just went over again.
Yeah.
When we are in touch with the universal flow, sometimes I'm driving to the bank and I'm thinking about making a deposit, or maybe I should make an investment, or maybe I should buy this. And all of a sudden I see a butterfly. It's that wink from God of confirmation going, yep. Or I don't know about you, but all the bumblebees, all the bees are dying. And every day I'm picking up a bee off the pavement and I put it in the plant. I don't know why I have this habit of putting the bees from the pavement into something lush. Half of them are struggling to survive. Most of them are dying and dead. Sometimes their wings are there, but I just have this little ritual where I move the bee from the pavement into the bush. It's just what I do. It's like giving back.
Wow.
I don't know. I started a couple years ago, but there's a bee is a totem, a butterfly is a totem, a cat is a totem, a donkey can be a totem. If you start to read why we have messages, so you said a moment ago, do I still?
Yeah.
I can say, okay, God, I really need blah, blah, blah. And a week and a half ago, I did my own candle, for example, on my money and success, because I've been so busy, backed off on marketing, and then I needed a bump. I got so much business last week. I thought, holy cow, because the candles work. But it was like, careful what you ask for, and I'll get it all done. But I know most of the time when to tap and when not to tap now. I know I have a friend helping me buying a new car. Well, what about this? Well, what about that? And he'll come back with, no, get out of the dealership. No, they're ripping you off. Well, maybe I should try this. And then he'll disappear for 3 days. Then he'll ask something. So, I know not to smother, but here's the information. You learn with different people, markets, messages. For example, my dog, she's 16 years old, half Papillon and half Dachshund. And she's this fat little puffy thing with little baby feet from the Dachshund, but a square tush and the butterfly ears. 2 weeks ago, I took her to the vet. I have the email that verified the appointment. They said, no, you're on the wrong day. Argued, they never apologized. I'm not going back to them. I yelled, I screamed, because how can you deny the email if this is our appointment?
Absolutely.
All right, so I left after 7 years. 2 days ago, I took the dog into a national dog food grooming kind of thing, not Pecker, but another one. And they cut what's called the quick on the dog. That's where the nerves are. It's like if you get to the bone after the nail, you hurt the animal. So when the girl called to say the dog was ready, I said, how's she do? She's 16. She's very docile. Oh, she got aggressive because her nails were already cut. Why didn't you call to ask if we wanted to cut the nails? She goes, oh, well, if she was conscious, she would have seen the nails were too short. So I called manager yesterday. They didn't care. He didn't care. Did he offer me a refund, another bath, a bag of food? No. I said, I guess you don't even care. He goes, I hear you. I said, great. Never mind. No communication. So that's kind of your vision, or it's like, these people, you don't need to take your business to them. There's others. Doors are shutting. It's like, okay, so I'll go someplace else. But we have to learn when the door's shutting to let go, whether it's a friend, a loved one.
So when there's disconnect, when there's a block, when there's any kind of resistance, that's when to let go and move
I think
somewhere
so,
else.
more so, yes. I think it's kind of a universal message. My biggest left turn in life with intuition, I think I was 19 and I was leaving to go away to college up north. And inside that day before I got in my car, I kept hearing, I don't want to go, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. But I went.
Oh,
And my whole life changed. And it's that left turn. If I went this way, you know, school and grad school and accidents. But I always wonder, what if I told the truth? I don't want to go. And stayed and went in my real dreams, which was this way versus that way.
right.
I'm now here, but it's still not what I really dreamed of. So you get back on path when you've had enough beating up. Remember growing up, they still have them, the big Bozo the Clown dolls that are with sand on the base.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, they go like this, you
Yeah.
punch the sand back and forth like this.
Yeah.
That's what we feel like, but we're still resilient. We come back. A lot of people don't get up.
We're dating
Well-
ourselves away.
Well, somebody's got to learn, they pass it on to us. But the thing is, a lot of people get so high, they're afraid to come down. Some people
Yeah.
get so knocked down, they're afraid to get back up. There was a time I couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fine again.
Yeah.
But you learn again the integration of your mental, physical, spiritual, emotional well-being to be the best you can be.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to get married. Yes, there's a man in my mind that I think will win the race from the one that I talked to today, if it goes that way. It's where I'm prioritizing. But
Right.
you know, it's like
Well,
I
listen
could still be
too.
wrong.
Well, listen too when
Yeah.
spirit's talking or the universe is talking or
It's
God's
an
talking,
option. You have an
Yeah.
option.
right? And
Yep.
and then you have your free will, so you decide and you choose.
Well, most
but
of the time, our free will, at least my free will, gets me in trouble, which is God's will. That's the flow, but that's learning. So 43 years ago is not the same, even though I hear his voice and I can communicate, but I know he would never see things, or I would have to teach him a lot that I'm not ready to be the teacher at this point. I know where I stand with this guy. And it's interesting that it would happen. And it's like, I can think about it and I'll call him. It's still his birthday. But I now get to see, no, it didn't feel right then. It's not going to be any different now.
right.
And how many times you get back with so-and-so because you got one more round, or you broke up 5 times to make it right. And it never connects. The true soulmate will meet you mental, physical, and spiritual and emotional. But usually 3 out of the 4 match, and the 4th is the one that's most difficult to work on. That's your true soulmate. You can be
Right.
physically attracted and emotionally attracted and connected. Mentally it clicks, but spiritually you're on these 2 different wavelengths. The beauty is merging. If you're not physically attracted because some guy wants a big blonde bimbo with fake everything and, blonde and a 22-inch waist and everything you see on TV versus a real person, but they learn to hear the mental abilities or they understand the emotional concerns, and all of a sudden the beauty takes a second step
Right.
back and the beauty comes from within, which is why they say beauty is only skin deep. It all starts to make sense once you
Right.
understand mind, body, spirit. Did you just get chills? I did.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it's people who call me or you or any reader for guidance. They want to
Yeah.
understand this next
The next
step
step. Yeah.
for them to improve whatever they've gone through, or why the
Right.
4 marriages didn't work, or why, this one slept with 1,000 women before he settled down, or whatever.
Would you say their location plays a part in it, like where they're living, where they're working?
Geographically, I think so. And I'll say, and then
so
you
too.
can meet different soulmates at that time for where you are in that chapter. Okay.
Right.
I went to the University of Michigan for
Right.
grad school. I wouldn't have gone to Michigan grad school had I not gone to San Francisco State, had I not listened to say I don't want to go.
Right.
I might have gone to SC or UCLA or Santa Barbara, or I might have been, who knows? The
Right.
70s would not have been where I went. It turned out to this, which got me to this. You can't really say what if, because you and I, we were born, we grow up, all of a sudden you're laying in bed and you're looking at your future. And when I grow up, I'm going to do blah, blah, blah. So we go this way, but we're like this. I don't know a lot of people that just said, here's my goal, and they did it. There are those that do.
There's a few. Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard to gauge whether they're the ones that did it right or wrong or what, but
I don't think there is a right or
way.
wrong, as long as you're not really hurting anybody out there. Like, we're not killing anybody. Look at the kid in Iran that was just beheaded over the weekend because he's gay, 20 years old. He was just going to leave for the free country of the United States, and the family beheaded him. It's barbaric.
Yeah.
Sexuality, that's another thing that's psychically attuned. I believe that a lot of male souls inhabit a female body. The female soul inhabits a male body. The androgyny of the lesson, or no, I'm gay, no, I'm transgender, I'm transsexual. There's 150 definitions now. I don't even know.
So
It's
when
all.
when we talk about psychic, Linda, like, is that actually somebody embodying us, and because they're in the spirit world and we're in the physical world?
That's the channeling. No, that's the channeling.
That's the challenge.
Some people, that's a great question, because a lot of people read via their grandmother, or their great Aunt Rose comes through from 5 generations, or they have a guardian angel, or my guides.
Yeah.
I will say your guides are telling me when they're so unevolved, I'll use the catchword because they're not going to understand how I know so much. So I calm it down rather than cutting them in half. There are times I will get messages from a great-great-grandparent, and I'll describe that, and they'll go, because I was right. How'd you know that? And I don't want to actually go there, but I know how to play it. The psychic in you, me, is the neurologist, the psychiatrist, the immunologist, the pathologist, and all the different scientific medical professionals are going to label it.
Right.
Then you got the alternative people, and you've got the spiritual people, and you've got the integrative, and you kind of know there's something else besides neurosynaptic responses. I thought I was crazy till I became really psychic. I have 30 years of boxes of testimonies and stories. I read them, I go, really? I did that? I don't even believe half of it. It just is there. I didn't have it before. I was doing brain tumor cancer research and Legionnaire's disease and looking for infectious diseases. And today I'd probably be working on COVID, but that's another discussion I don't want to get into. But I believe we open something in our consciousness that those who are selected, chosen, like you have a purpose helping other people via your stream and your show and your website. You're a mentor in a different way. Like when I was on the air, I was always giving readings, and selling product and promoting me. But I'm going back on the air and it'll be more interviews and putting it together because it's a different program now. But your gift evolved. You didn't wake up at the age of 5, go, oh, I've been a psychic all my life. No, you had experiences, like the guy with the burn. Your spirit, whatever, initiated you without you going through a plane crash or totaling a car with the white light. You got your gift by experiencing pain, almost reliving his experience so you could understand cognitive spiritual relationship from a clairsentient. That's clairsentient, not clairvoyant. The clairvoyant was looking in the coffee. Yeah. The clairsentient was feeling the burn, but seeing the flames was your clairvoyancy. So you integrated it.
I know.
Yeah. I get it.
It's fascinating, and it's also, like you said, scary. And
well, because it's not your everyday life.
No. And when I choose to shut something off, it tends to shut off. Like I'll say, no, I don't want this anymore. And
You've
then I
learned how to
can't get it back.
control it. Mhm.
And I can't get it back though. So I don't know how to get back things
No,
out.
maybe you're not supposed to. Maybe you're just done. It's like
Yeah.
I can channel the dead if I want to. I choose not to because I know what happens to me. I don't want to be on the other side. I spent many shows on George Neary and all that. I'm not even, I mean, last time I did that was probably 7, 8 years ago. I don't even remember. At first I thought, oh, I want to be part of that again. And I know people that are still in that wheel. I don't want to go there.
Right.
You know,
You
so I'm
want,
doing.
you want to help people on an individual level.
I
and
do.
you-
I've been always more about the individual versus, like I was talking earlier about sensationalism. Don't give me the masses. Don't predict the war. You know, Nostradamus and Edgar Cayce, they did that.
Right.
I had one frightening universal prediction, maybe. I write songs. And in 1993, I was in my apartment. Huh?
Amazing. Something I didn't know about you, write songs.
Yeah, I got boxes of the lyrics. I walked from 2 record deals along this journey. That's another part of it. But I wrote something about the city being on fire and the flames of love and all this stuff. But 3 weeks later, we had the LA riots. The city was on fire. Like you saw the guy who burned himself and you want to know, I felt like when I saw that, it was like, I don't want this kind of responsibility. And I'm not to brag, but somewhere in one of these drawers,
words. I said those exact words. I don't want this.
Don't want it. No.
Yeah.
There's somewhere in one of my drawers here. I have from 1995 when I was on AM radio. There was a woman, Alice. I don't even know. That was the other one. I'd have to look up this woman's name, but she was Edgar Cayce's photographer in the 40s.
Wow.
Yeah. And this was the 90s. And she heard me on radio. She said, "You're just like Edgar." I said, "Who? What?" She heard my delivery as a psychic equal to that of Edgar Cayce, who was noted as the sleeping prophet. His wife would take all the notes, right? Well, I never gave myself that much credit, but I went and met this woman. She lived in assisted living at the time. She gave me this whole envelope of work from Edgar, photographs of Edgar, his wife and son, things that she had done locally. I haven't even read half of it, and it's still here, but I remember that woman.
We should document it since you have it.
I have all this stuff. I would love to explore because I'll be honest with you, I have the book, the movie script, a TV talk show, a comedy. I've got all of it. And I've knocked on doors in Hollywood and I've been rejected for 25 years. Then I see all these people that come out of nowhere and get these shows. I'm like, whatever. But I know I have a specialty niche that with the right people, it'll go in the right direction.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's always like when the doors, you know, when it's right, it's right. You know, it's like people make plans and God laughs and you keep knocking on doors and then one day the door opens and that's it. I have it. I just don't want to be taken advantage of because I have. I don't want to be embezzled because I have. I don't want to be lied to. I pitched my story about the plane crash to a very famous producer, part of his family. 2 years later, the movie came out. There was a psychic that had a head injury, not from a plane crash, but another situation. And when I saw the production, I watched it and I knew my idea.
Right.
So there's no protection. It's like Michael Jackson used to say, "Oh, they stole my lyric, they stole my melody." It's so hard out there, but nobody can really steal my story because it's my story.
Absolutely.
You want to embellish it? Fine.
No one can tell it better than you either because it's your
I've lived it. Right. They want to try. They've made millions. I still have my way, my story to get out there. So we'll see why you and I were connected for whatever reason, why we had a glitch with the internet a week ago. Who knows?
Who knows?
It's like they're up there and we're little pawns on a chessboard and they're just moving us around.
Absolutely.
So here's love, here's money, here's work, here's people, here's death, here's shopping. Everything's online. You don't even have to go to Macy's anymore. You just order online. Yeah, it's easy, sort of. But we're not getting back into life.
And like I have people, you know, you should interview this person, you should interview this person, but I can only interview the people I feel something
If
for?
you
Like,
have a connection, it's not going to work.
it
Absolutely.
doesn't, I only can do it if I can feel it. I can't just interview people just like that. It
Because you're
just,
so empathic. You yourself are empathic. The hard part about being an empathic, Shiraz, is that at the end of the day, you can be so drained, especially if you're around the wrong people and you don't know why you're agitated or exhausted or PO'd, or and then there's times that you feel so elated because the spirit fed off each other, you know, the compatibility. You get that.
absolutely, absolutely, I get that. And so what about experiences with clearing houses and things like
I
that?
do
Have
that.
you had
I
those
do that. There's certain incense and certain sage, and there's certain techniques, but I don't like to put all that out on the air because then I give
Yeah.
away everything I do. But yes, I just helped the chiropractor actually when I went down to his office in Southern California with, I told him what to buy and I bombed the whole 5 treatment rooms, the waiting room, because there was a married couple that he worked with that destroyed his energy, but he passed them on to me to do some healing work. I said, I don't want them. And I could read them just on the phone from him what the problems were. He goes, you're right. And I hadn't even assessed them personally. What they did to him and me over a period of months, they still owe me like $2,500. They said, well, you have to apologize. Well, I called her a slug because she just takes all the energy. Because you got to apologize before I pay you. I would rather not have the money and let her know I think she's a slug. I meant bleach. I said the wrong word.
Yeah, I hear
No,
you.
it's not the money. It's nice, but it's not going to fix how I feel if you destroy my soul.
Yeah.
Or you upset me so much that he and I would spend an hour after each other cleaning the negativity or moving energy. We talk about 4 times a week, and he sends me, like I said, a lot of his patients, and I send him my people, and he'll fix and I fix, and you find your niche, you know, you find your network.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have an MD psychiatrist that treats a lot of celebrities, who knows my work, who has written one of the most dynamic letters of recommendation with his letters and his credentials and his name. I'm like, okay. So I have the CV and all that stuff.
Yeah. But it only goes so far, right? If there's no connection and if there's not authenticity, then it all falls apart.
Means nothing. And there's times I will have people usually book 30, 40, or 60-minute sessions. I don't like the 15 minutes because they want everything in 15 minutes. You can't do it, but I do. Right. But there's sometimes I'll book an appointment and I can tell right away it's going to be troublesome. I'll say, you know what, I don't think I'm right for you. I think I'll give you back your money. No, what did I do? What did I do? And I said, you're not going to understand. I'll read them, and then tension or arguments, or especially, no, he's not leaving his baby's mama to leave that state to come back to you, even though, yes, he still loves you in his heart, but no, he's not taking action. Well, how do you know?
Right.
You know, and then we argue.
That's why you contacted me, because I know.
But it's like I used to say, if you don't want to know the truth, don't ask.
Right.
Don't ask me. Yeah, no. So I get the 1 stars, and she's a bitch, and whatever, because they're not ready to hear the truth on a higher level, because they're going to make it work. She's going to wait for that guy to leave the baby's mama. Maybe when the kid's 18, kid's only, what, a year? You know, he's not coming back. So, I mean, there's conflicts. And health, another one, if it comes to addiction, weight, drugs, food, gambling, sex, alcohol, smoking, shopping. The addiction is under a label of alcoholism, and it's all the different mind, body, spiritual problems. And then I can talk in food blogs or groups about the addiction of sugar and flour. Boy, do I get it. Oh no, it's just a childhood thing. I said, no, it's an addiction. It's a drug. And I have to start analyzing from autism all the way to dysmorphia.
Also,
you want to fight.
And you probably have to assess whether the person's telling the truth or holding back and all that too, when you're in communication with them.
Oh, this is just on a thread, you know, they know better. Oh, just because you have a doctorate doesn't mean you know everything. It's like, okay, I've only been doing it 35 years. Okay. No, I have one beautiful mother from New Jersey or Connecticut, I don't even remember, Florida, called because of her 10-year-old daughter's eating disorder. And I taught her what to do to help her daughter withdraw from the sugary foods, to get into more of a nutritional plan to calm down the behavior. A lot of bipolar depression, anxiety is just food related with processed foods of sugar and flour. Flour metabolizes in the bloodstream as sugar, whether it's bread, pasta, wheat, gluten. People don't understand. Cheese, even dairy. Everybody's got a sensitivity. Not everybody can just have an ice cream cone. I've been off sugar and flour 8.5 years. I don't miss it.
Right. Right. And it takes discernment, and it takes.
It was a surrender. It was another surrender. It was almost like, okay, if I want peace, I know that if I eat corn chips, I have a reaction where I get so full of anxiety or angry because the corn metabolizes as sugar and it offsets my insulin, which offsets my behavior. I've learned to watch my reaction to
various
food.
Right. To various things you eat. And
people don't put it together. They don't want to hear it.
So what a like, you could help people with their relationships, because we talked about, the different types of relationships, the souls, the twin soul,
there's companion, there's twin, and there's karmic. Yeah.
The karmic relationships.
Most of us are in karmic relationships, and it's up to us as to how long we're going to stay, whether they're our best friends or friend of the decade, friends from childhood. There's some that go through your whole life on the peripheral, but you can always pick up where you left off, a year ago, 2 months ago, a day ago. Guy back east, hi, it's 43 years. Do you want to marry me? I'm like, you just don't know. But we're on this journey. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in each other's path.
Right. And then
people settle for money. A lot of people settle because they don't think they'll ever meet the right one. A lot of people get pregnant deliberately to trap somebody for money and security. There's different reasons.
Right.
Doesn't mean they're happy in love.
So our manipulations play a part in our life outcome as well, obviously, and taking us in and out of our set path, or our desired path, or our purposeful path.
We all make mistakes. We all have ideas. We all have fantasies. We all have the passions, whether we follow them to the best of our ability. No. My father is totally different. He's 91 years old. I saw he and his girlfriend last night. Lost my mom 12 years ago. He's turning 92. He's just starting to have a little bit of dementia where he's forgetting things. Well, 92, I hope I'm still here. But he's one of those that dropped out of college. He played football at USC the year they were going to the Rose Bowl. He dropped out, went and joined the Merchant Marines. And he said at 20, out in the middle of the ocean somewhere on his way to Korea or Japan, he knew that by the time he was 57, he'd want to retire. I'm like, who thinks like that? He did it. He did it.
Yeah.
He didn't know how he was going to do it. But he established an amazing business. His company back in the day was the beginning of before the computers. Steve Jobs, who created Apple, was a customer of my father's company.
Wow.
So there's all history, right?
Yeah.
That he was big in those days, but he knew he wanted to retire. Well, he's 91, he still works. He retired from that, then he did this, now he's doing
because all our life we're really working. Maybe we're not working in the same field, but working or our path, our daily work is part of us, right? We're always doing something.
But there's people, and you know it as well as I do, that spend all day just watching TV and streaming. They will not lift a finger. Or they're hoarding. There's problems. The average person isn't that intelligent when you think about it. And it's the average IQ that's more susceptible to the sheeple theories, right? Because they're not as inquisitive. They may be brilliant in certain ways, but the average middle American hardworking person doesn't go where we go.
No.
Okay? So you got to be patient and tolerant of different. You asked geographics. Part of it's geographic, part of it's conditional, part of it is biochemical, part of it is genealogical. I mean, I don't know that I could live in this one particular state that this guy is in.
Right.
I've never been to that city. I try, I don't, it doesn't feel like I need to be there. And I know he's not going to move here. So I already know geographically, no.
There's
Yes,
not
he's,
gonna be-
no, it's not right. I think of leaving LA and I don't know where I would go, and I keep staying here because I was born and raised here and my family's here, but there's more still here for me. I'm not sure
So
what.
So when we're told to follow our heart,
It's best that we do.
it's best that we do. Yeah.
Look at the kids today versus when we were growing up, and what the last 20 years with America's Got Talent and all those music shows. Who had the
Right.
guts to get up and perform in front of 4,000 people in the 60s as a child? I mean, I did theater and I played
True.
guitar, but I was never, at
It was
age
like
10,
garbage to me.
yeah, no, it's a different world. I think our
Yeah.
parents, or the parents of today, push in a different way. I think the 80s generation, when my generation was becoming the yuppies, everything was about the money, so opportunities, and your kid is going to ball games and dance class and this class, and then the computers. We got so saturated that everybody's competing. Go back to your show, go back to my show. As
Right.
psychics and spiritual, back then when I started in 1994 on radio, the FCC fought the radio station
Right.
because you weren't supposed to do psychic stuff, but we
Right.
won and we pushed, or they did, and I got
Right.
there. But now anything goes online. Everybody's
Right.
TikTok, YouTube, IG, Facebook. But now we're being censored if we talk about certain topics. I was censored on a show a month ago because I was talking
Right.
about the vaccines, which I'm not going to get into
Right.
on your show.
No,
But when we
I
were
don't even
sharing-
talk about it on my show because honestly, I think it's an individual thing, and we'll leave it at that.
yeah, but I was on a stream / YouTube, and YouTube pulled me in the first 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But we didn't have those kind of censorships back then. But now the big farm and the big tech and the
Yeah.
world's changing. But the people on this level that need people like you and me to find the more real versus the charlatan wannabe could be might be's. Like the people calling or Instagramming me and say, this one on TikTok said, I said, don't listen to TikTok. They're not master tarot readers. But all 5 said, I said, it's fine. You want a real reading, let me know. But I can't convince the world
No.
that the internet's not 100% right. People like you weed the garden and bring the cream of the crop in, as opposed to every one out there that
Yeah.
claims to be gifted. I'm just using very specific words because I know you can read between the lines. A lot of people cannot.
Absolutely.
So I mean, I'm flattered and I'm honored when I was told about your show, and
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I did look at your website, and yes, I would like to talk off the air about integration and blending and working, but the average person doesn't trust what they feel. Or the denial kicks in, or the mother's voice, or the boyfriend's voice, or the father's voice, or some ex's voice. Everybody but their God self voice takes over. It's a committee. We got all this stuff going on. He said, she said, what? Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
You got to just get quiet enough. Be still, for I am God. And we get
Oh my
back.
God. What a beautiful concept. What a
Be
beautiful statement.
still, for I am God. Just like I am, I am, therefore I. What was it?
I am that I am.
No. It's oh gosh, it's I am, therefore I am. I'd have to look it up. It's been some, I don't know, it was Aristotle or Hippocrates. Now I can't even remember. I am, therefore I think therefore I think therefore I am. So because we think I am, but because we think we connect, and by connecting we become, and by becoming we are, therefore I am.
Right.
We're all individual children of God, if you want to go that way. We're all our own.
Yeah, that was Descartes, by the way.
Okay, that's right. One time when you're asking religion,
Yes.
I had a guilty thing going when I had that Christ awakening.
Yeah,
My dad,
yeah.
that was scary. but it's let me see more. Not that I became a follower, but it integrated what I would do spiritually. But one time I said to my dad, he may not believe in God, but he's got his own thing. I said, do you believe that Christ is the child of God, son of God?
Right.
Right? Because we're taught that.
Yeah.
What does my dad say? And he's right. No more than I am.
Exactly. Exactly.
But when people ask me these questions on religion, I had a girl call whose husband's super involved in some Christian organization, and she's totally against it. She goes, do you believe in Christ? I said, well, this is what happened after the accident. This is what I believe, but I think it's the symbol of what could be if you do it right. But the people that go to church aren't really how they are out there. It's a lot of it's facade and it's make believe. And if it was really real, none of the crap we have out there would be if they were really spiritual. Mm-hmm. So religion is rules on how to live, when to eat, when to marry, what. Catholicism broke into either Lutheran or Protestant because one of them wanted a divorce and it wasn't on the religion, so they made a new religion and changed the rules so they can have a divorce. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But there's 3,200 religions on the planet, but what are they all doing? Getting to the source.
Right. So to me, I feel like religion plays a part. If it wasn't for religion, you wouldn't necessarily even recognize or know what spirituality is to be able to make that distinction. So you need
a foundation, and then you can decide what you want, because there's a lot of people that's true, because we all grew up with some concept as a child, whether it's religion, Christmas trees, menorahs, hearing about the war, or having a Seder. There's something, Easter, right? There's something that we're taught. Then all of a sudden you branch out and you find, I believe in that over there. I think about healing. I don't want the medication. Maybe those people really aren't right for me. And all of a sudden, black and white and Hispanic versus Asian. And all of a sudden there's all these people, we've all got the soul. Yeah. Not about if it's how you feel, but we're not taught to feel or trust our feelings.
Right.
Our generation opened it up from our parents' generation that came out of the war. Because once they came out of the war, they just wanted money and success. We were struggling in the 70s for our voice, ban the bra, women's lib, all that stuff, right? Now in 2021, it's so, I think music has become diabolical. I believe there's a part of the Illuminati influence because there's so many devilish symbols in the stars videos. There's a skewed thing going on that's not quite what it was. So there's ways to see beyond the image.
Right.
Religion is man-made, but it's not to punish. It's not a punishing God. I just released an article. I can send it to you. God, what does God have to do with it? I just got published.
I'd love for you to send it to me.
Yeah, I don't know if it's up on the site yet. I just sent it to the webmaster. But everybody has to find their own, and even by saying there is no God, that's still an opinion.
Yeah. Well, you're using God in that sentence, so there.
But
by definition, there's something that isn't, and you're calling it God.
Right. I don't know what else to call our universe. I don't know what to call the stars. And okay, we're going to Mars, and we're going to go buy new shoes, or we're running out of vegetables, and we really don't want to kill all the cows, but if we're going to murder the cows for food because God gave us protein, at least do it humanely and let's be more organic. And we're trying to not be as barbaric.
Right.
I cry over certain animals that are injured. I am more empathic around animals than a lot of people, because we can help each other. They can't communicate.
They can't,
but they do. Their voice.
They can, but
in their voice.
And it's through they'll communicate with who they can
their
communicate
voice.
with.
Yeah, with their voice.
Yeah.
But but a lot of people think, animals have no feelings. If a mom cow is mooing and they realize that the calf was missing, they go find the calf because the mother's in pain. We have to learn to respect all this. Yes, I eat fish. Oh my God, the poor fish. I mean, I can dissect all of it, but if I really start thinking about it, I'd have to live in a bubble. doesn't work that way.
Right.
Same thing with people. You're not out killing people. You're not out shooting off guns. Look what we've gone through with
all of this.
Over the last year, especially during lockdown and the riots
Yeah.
and the fires and the murders and it's like a civil war in the United States. Then you got the peacemakers and the grown-up hippies and the spiritual people that want it, like, all peace and love and flowers. It doesn't work that way, but we're trying to find the balance.
Yeah.
I think we also want to find the truth.
And everyone needs to play their part, and everyone needs to contribute to finding that. And really, it's more about finding ourselves, which is the truth, right?
Yeah, but there's still a lot of people that are so materialistic, they can't see inside for the truth. Or it's those people that are so insecure, messed up, guilty, overuse of drugs, alcohol, food addiction, push, hide the feelings as opposed to being yourself. So you've got other classes where it all looks good, like a Christmas or birthday present. You open up this gorgeous box of paper and the bow, oh my God, what I get, and then you find that, oh my God. It's like a person. You get to know the female or the male. You think you're going to be friends. The closer you get, the more you either love them or you hate them. You walk away. It's compatible. It's not compatible. It's like an artichoke. We have to keep peeling layers. When you're with a soulmate or in a soul circle, I call it the soul circle, where we have our people. No matter how much you beat them up like that bozo the clown, and you knock them over and tear them to shreds, but they're still in your life. Because there's an unconditional connection or a love or an acceptance or a whatever, you're on the right path. If you bash them and the door shut, oh, please, let's just try one more time. Or do you not love me anymore? Or what did I do wrong? Or I can change all that stuff. Leave it alone.
Right.
We get what we're supposed to need. And yes, we make choices. God's will and my will do not equal my flow. I know. It's just learning to discern the flow.
Right.
That's each individual's
it's their in individual right and individual.
Well, you have to learn how to see it.
Right.
Experience is the teacher.
So are you near an airport, Linda?
No, I'm in a flight pattern once in a while.
Isn't that amazing?
I mean, I'm in the San Fernando Valley. In the last 2 hours. I'm about 20 minutes away from Hollywood Burbank Airport, but I'm not in the flight pattern. And then about, another 20 minutes in another direction, there's a private airport. But it's not to the point that I'm in the flight pattern where in certain neighborhoods you hear them all the time. It just so happens I'm doing a show and I'm talking and it shows up. It's like, is it odd or God? I can't plan it.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I've sort of exhausted my question. I haven't really. It feels like I want to keep going and keep going and keep going. And we probably will. And we'll probably do dive deep into certain topics maybe and do other shows. But for now, is there some last minute statement you want to share with everyone, or a message you want to give everyone that I may not have asked you, or I may not have even known to ask you?
I think one of the messages I can leave your audience with is trust the process and know you're not God, and I'm not God. They're not God. That God, good orderly direction, source, higher power, whatever you want to call this other thing, energy, is separate from us. We can feel it in our heart. But when you step away and let the universe do its thing while you're over here trying to do your thing, then you come and you meet it.
Absolutely. Because
I used to be over here trying to search for God over here. And then, like I said at the beginning of the show, I've integrated over the years. I finally brought it together where I'm in alignment. God does not move. People say, how do I get spiritual? I said, you already are. But you forgot. People forget to go back to God. All you have to do is pray. Oh, I don't want to get on my hands and knees. You don't have to even get on your hands and knees. Hey, God, good morning. Great day. See you at night. What do you want me to do? And get on with it. At night, I say, good night, God. Good night, Mom. Because my mom's gone. And I fall asleep. Just the acknowledgement. You don't have to pray and meditate 25 minutes a day. I don't do any of that. But when I am not acknowledging whatever it is, things get funky. Bring it back, gets back in alignment. I don't know why.
So true. It's so true.
Yeah, you see it.
Absolutely.
It's simple, and yet it's like, no, I don't really need this. I'm too busy.
Yeah, as soon as you forget, it's like
They remind you.
reeling you in again. Well, thank you, Linda. It was
Thank you.
amazing.
This has been a great pleasure.
Absolutely. I love you, and I love what you're doing, and I love your knowledge and your experiences and how they've contributed to humanity. And thank you for that.